ஓரியன்டேஷன் லாக்டவுன் வருது, ஹோம் ஒர்க்கு ஆல்மோஸ்ட் ரொட்டேட் பண்ணிட்டு திருப்பி வச்சேன். ரொட்டேட் பண்ணிட்டு
விழுகாது.
திருப்பி வச்சு வாங்கிக்காது. என்ன பண்ணுறது?
ஆக்சுவலாக வந்துட்டு ரீல்ஸ் இந்த ஃபார்மேட் தான் லைவ் எப்படி தானே
இப்போ எனக்கு லைவ் எப்படி வருது? கேமரா ரொட்டேட் ஆகுது. பரவாயில்லையா? ஸ்ட்ரைட்டாக வச்சா நல்லா கவர் ஆகும். கேமராவே திருப்பி தான் இருக்கு.
ஓகே, அப்போ லேண்ட்ஸ்கேப் எப்படி தான் எடுக்கலாமா?
திருப்பி வருது. எப்படி இருக்கு? ஸ்ட்ரைட்டாகவே வச்சு போட்டாங்க. சேம் அப்படியே
லேப்ல எப்படி வருதுன்னு தெரியல. லேப்ல எப்படி
இல்லை, இதுக்கு ஸ்ட்ரைட்டாக வச்சு
கட் பண்ணிட்டுமா?
வேண்டாம், அப்படி தெரியும்.
இப்போ பாருங்க, இப்படியே விட்டுருவாங்க. சென்டரில் போட்டு மறுபடியும் எடுத்துருவாங்க. சென்டரில் போட்டு மறுபடியும் எடுத்துருவாங்க. எடுத்துட்டா மூக்கில் மேலே போயிட்டு விளக்கிட்டு எல்லாம் வைக்கிறோம்.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of King's Academy International, we extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to each one of you to Educonclave 2025.
Educonclave is more than just an event. It is a dynamic educational forum that brings together students, parents, educators, and thought leaders to explore how digital transformation and artificial intelligence are reshaping learning, performance, and the future of education itself.
Today, we gather to share insights, spark conversation, and envision a world where innovation empowers every learner. We hope this platform inspires fresh perspectives and meaningful exchanges that will pave the way for a smarter, more connected learning experience.
We are honored to have all our distinguished guests, speakers, alumni, faculty members, parents, and students with us today. Thank you for joining us.
To begin this auspicious day with divine blessings, we invite the school choir to render the prayer song. We request everyone to rise.
शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये गुरुब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुसाक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्यो मा अमृतं गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः.
Thank you. Please be seated.
We now proceed to the traditional lighting of the lamp, a sacred ritual that signifies the dispelling of darkness, the awakening of knowledge, and the dawn of new beginnings. We respectfully invite our esteemed dignitaries to grace the stage and join us for the lamp lighting ceremony.
What's the normal footwear?
As we celebrate the beauty of culture and the joy of learning, let us warmly welcome our classical dance performers.
What a graceful performance. Thank you, dancers, for the great start.
It's now my privilege to invite Dr. Vikram Ramakrishnan, Director, CS Academy, to deliver the welcome address.
Good morning. Welcome to CS Academy for all those who are from other schools, other school teachers. I think our sister concerned, we some teachers I met. Welcome everyone, welcome Jayendra, welcome Mr. Aslam. And we have Mr. Anustu joining us virtually. All of you heard about the Indigo thing, right? So he is one of the victims of Indigo's crisis. He was supposed to have landed last evening, but he couldn't make it. Mr. Aslam also was he almost was a victim, but he jumped on a car and drove all the way here. So thank you, sir, for making the effort. And Jayendra, of course, from Coimbatore, so thank you, Jayendra, for driving down from there. So the topic today is performance in the digital world, redefining performance in the digital world. And I was just thinking about what does that mean, and if you think about the digital world, even this Indigo thing, just before this whole crisis unfolded, there was a software update. You know, the Boeing or Airbus said all aircraft need to be updated with new software. And we were facing a lot of disruptions because of that initially. And I was thinking about that. And I don't know how many of you students have heard of this ransomware. Have you heard of ransomware? Any of you know ransomware, students? You know, people send a code and hijack the company's software systems. That's my simple understanding. I'm sure Jayendra and Mr. Aslam will know about this far better. But I think a couple of years ago, the US pipelines were attacked by a ransomware. I think the thing was called dark secrets or something. Essentially what happened was all the oil flowing in the United States came to a standstill. And pumps ran dry because of the software. And ransomware is, these guys who are creating the software, they send it, they pause all operations of a particular entity, and then they ask for money to release the system and to get it to function again. That's my understanding. And the US Oil Corporation paid $4.4 million in Bitcoin. Imagine this, everything is happening in what we are calling it the digital world. And similar ransomware software, there was WannaCry, I don't know if you guys remember it. There was WannaCry software which affected the NHS. I used to work in the NHS in the UK. And ambulance services stopped functioning and one kid died because of that software. So I think the lines between what is digital, what is physical, it's a question, right? A rhetorical question. I don't think there is a physical world and a digital world anymore. I think they are so tightly intertwined. It is just a new world. That's how I'm interpreting it. So that was my thought about this whole digital thing. And then we talk about performance. And what is performance? I was thinking about that. And especially from a student perspective, whenever people say performance, we immediately think about, there's academic performance, right? So that's one way to think about it. And then as you get older, maybe you're thinking about economic performance and how well we're doing it, how much money we are making. So that could be a performance criteria as well. And then you can also have performance from an impact on society, right? Social impact. So that could be a performance measure. I'm not making a huge amount of money, maybe I'm not academically qualified, but I'm having a massive social impact. So that could be performance too. And then I thought, is that all? And then if you think a little bit more deeply, even if I have a positive influence on my family, I mean, that's performance too, isn't it? If I can run an amazing family, that's performance too. And if you take it a little bit more spiritually, which I'm inclined to do nowadays, just from a human being perspective, just being content and happy is also a measure of performance, isn't it, ultimately? So there are so many levels of performance, and I think the challenge is for us to move from I think for many of us, it's very narrowly defined. And how do we move it from a narrow definition of performance to a more holistic view of performance? Right? So that's how I was thinking about it. And last thing, and I'll stop with it because we are under the gun when it comes to time, is what is inhibiting us from getting there? I was thinking about the world that we live in, and it's a noisy world. And everything that we live in is geared towards stimulating our senses. So if you think about our visual senses, all the things that you see on screen or on your mobile phones or whatever it is, right? They are bright images, they are fast-moving images, designed to attract attention and to keep your attention. I mean, if you think of your sense of smell, for example, we have all these perfumes and so many things. If you think of taste, now you have everything on your phone, right? I feel like having something, you can immediately get it from Swiggy or whatever. So that's like, all these things are weaponizing our senses, right? And they are there to cater to everything. And why is that important is that we move from, in my mind, we move to becoming reactive human beings. We are just reacting all the time. If all the time you're looking at your device or whatever it is or something, and something is happening to you, and you're reacting throughout the day. And sometimes I find myself doing that too, right? And I think the question is, how do we live more intentionally? How do we move from being reactive to being, let's say, more proactive? How do we move towards what is our agenda and how we are prosecuting that agenda? This is what I want to achieve. This is who I am, and I will move towards what I want. I'm not going to sit here and say, okay, something came up, somebody told me, therefore I will do something. That means you're reactive. I mean, these are all questions that I have, and I think we have an amazing panel of speakers, people who have come, and we also have an alumni session later on, and hope that many of these questions might be answered or might make you think, and that's the intention of having Educonclave. It's a thinking platform, and if we can see a few thoughts out there and enable all of you to start thinking along these lines, I think the objective is achieved. So I'll stop with that. I want to welcome all of you again, and I'm sure that we'll have an amazing half day. Thanks.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words and warm welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, our esteemed guest today is Mr. Anushka Nair, founder of Central Square Foundation. He also leads the classroom instruction and practices team at CSF. In this role, he collaborates with several CSF partner organizations and state government agencies to advance the national mission on foundation literacy and numeracy. He has also worked on building and scaling an entrepreneurial venture called Exceed Education. His commitment to strengthening public education brought him to CSF, where he continues to pursue his passion for improving learning at scale.
Mr. Anushka holds a master's degree in education from the Harvard Graduate School of Education, as well as a master's in public policy from Georgia Tech. He is particularly passionate about empowering teachers with the right tools and skills to succeed. Mr. Anushka will be joining us online today. We are delighted to have you with us, sir. Over to you.
Listen, can you get me in? Yeah, hi. Can you hear me? Perfect. Can I start? Great. Thank you so much, Vikram, Sitara, Aruna ma'am, and everyone in the CS Academy E-Road community for having thought of me. As Vikram said, I am one of the victims of the Indigo disruption yesterday. I was really looking forward to be on with you in person, and I hope I can make that promise happen very, very soon. I don't want to take too much time. I think Vikram has already laid out a very interesting introduction to how the world that we live in is so different from the world that we grew up in. And I wanted to share a few things, more as an educator for children and teacher, educator as well. But more importantly, as a fellow parent, I have two young children in their teenagers, so a lot of it is reflections from my journey as a parent. As a parent and also as a caregiver of young children, as we think about what our children are really going towards, three big questions come to my mind. And that's something that Vikram also alluded to in his speech. The first question that comes to mind is, how do we get children to be successful, which means being very good at what they do and possibly make a good living. But we cannot stop at that, because there are two other questions which are equally important. One is how to be happy, how to lead a life of fulfillment so that you live a life which is full in all different ways, with your family, with your friends. And the third is, how do you make an impact on the world? You can be very successful, you can be happy, but what is the kind of world that you're living behind is also a question we must ask ourselves and hopefully get our children to think about it as well. The world that we are growing up is very, very different. Where our children are growing up is very different from the world that we all grew up in. I think there are many ways in which this world is different, but I was thinking of three ways it is very, very different. The first is just the diversity of career and vocational opportunities available to children. When I was growing up, there was just engineering and medicine, and perhaps even chartered accountancy. Those are the three things we knew when we were growing up. But think of the world that our children are growing up now. You can be a design thinker, you can be an environmental specialist, you can be a sports and nutrition scientist, you can be anything that you want, and that makes it very, very interesting for young people to grow up. Most young people will have many different careers throughout their working life. I think some of them are in front of you. I think you already know the kind of interesting journey that Vikram has taken. I also started in a different space, was an engineer. I was trained as an engineer and I became an engineer, then worked as a management consultant and then became an educator. So our children will actually get a lot more opportunities than we have. The second important opportunity that our children will face is how to deal with technology. Technology is disrupting our world in many, many ways, and today, with the intersection of AI and data and a lot of other things that technology is enabling us to do, we can do a lot more with our time than we ever thought. An artist using AI can actually build movies which took millions of rupees or dollars to build earlier. A bioscientist could actually create molecules and medical research and so on and so forth. And the third is globalization. Today we all live in a connected world, a world which actually doesn't have borders. You might be sitting in Europe today, but you could be very well in touch with another young person in China or in Africa, and you can be building things together. I think these three opportunities are also sort of juxtaposed with three crises that we are all facing. And Vikram was talking about the first crisis, which is this lack of attention that we have in our society because of social media, because of the internet, because of lots of other things. We are constantly distracted. There was a recent study which was done on college students in the United States in some of the best universities. Many students are entering college without actually the ability to read even 5 or 6 pages, leave alone books and articles. There are some children who are entering college who have lost the ability to math. And all of that is happening because there is very little attention. And with the deficit of attention, we also have a crisis we often don't speak about, which is the mental health crisis in young people. Young people today have actually fewer close friends than what we have. In fact, in a couple of weeks from now, I'm going back to Odisha, my hometown, to meet a couple of close friends who I've been in touch with since I was in grade 7 or grade 6. And we don't meet each other physically right now. And a lot of young people are very lonely. And the third crisis we're facing in our society, which is something you're all aware about, is the fact that there is a lot of polarization and misinformation around us. Partly because of social media, partly because of the society we live in. There is more hatred and suspicion towards people who are not like ourselves. So how do we deal with this is a question that all of us ask. I don't have the time to go too much into these problems. These are things you're aware of. But I wanted to leave you today with potentially 5 critical skills that I personally think students need to have to succeed in the world of tomorrow. And the first skill I'm going to talk about is really about understanding the world around us. Even though we have ChatGPT, even though we have Google, even though we have lots of technology and lots of knowledge on the internet, we still, as young people, need to develop deep and broad expertise. There's a very interesting book, if some of you want to read it, it's called Range by David Epstein. He talks about something called T-state states. So you imagine a T, which is a horizontal, which means you know a bunch of things about all different kinds of things, but there is also a vertical deep specialization you want to build. So can you be good at one thing and also know a little bit about everything? That's the kind of person that's going to succeed very well. And believe you me, the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic or mathematical analytical skills, are going to be as relevant tomorrow as they are today. Because you still need people to create basic knowledge, and even though internet and technology and AI can solve for that, we still need to build deep understanding. The second skill I'm going to emphasize is that problem solving. Knowing things is important, but knowing what to do with that knowledge is even more important. So finding problems around us and building useful products, building solutions, that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody becomes an entrepreneur and starts going to Shark Tank and raising VC money, but it means being curious about the world around you and figuring out how can that world be made better with my knowledge. The third skill, which is very, very relevant, is communication and collaboration. Communicating our ideas, communicating our thoughts and feelings, working closely with other people, convincing them, building relationships is super critical. Today I am speaking to you because almost more than a decade ago I met Vikram and his family, and we built a relationship which still stands even though we've all moved to different parts of the country. And I think being able to work with other people is a really valuable skill. And there are 2 others which I would call a little bit around mindsets, which is the skill of self-awareness and self-management. A lot of us need to build an understanding of who we are as human beings. What are we good at? What are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? Where do I need to improve? And self-management is really about resisting the impulse to do the easy thing. Often it's the difficult thing which eludes us, and sometimes we take shortcuts. And the final, the 5th thing I want to talk about is building resilience in young people. How do we persist in the face of adversity, making mistakes, getting rejected, finding the inner strength to bounce back, not feeling bad? I think the young person who was making my introduction said really kindly that I actually went to some of these good colleges in the US. But you know what was not written in my bio is that over 10 years I applied like 6 or 7 times. The first 4 or 5 times I was rejected and finally was accepted. I think oftentimes my failures taught me a lot, and especially when I was an entrepreneur. Vikram has known me from these days. We used to go to schools and get kicked out and rejected. And I think that taught me a lot more than any award or scholastic recognition I did. And finally, I have few suggestions to you as parents. The first suggestion is have conversations with children. Ask questions, listen to them, let them ask questions. We often don't have real conversations with children. Second, if you have a little time with your child, do things with them, read with them, travel with them, watch a movie, play a game, and even if they're on social media, do some social media with them. Doing things with your kids gives them a lot of inspiration. And finally, expose them to people and role models and places, especially cultures other than your own, and get them to experience people who may not be in the same economic or social strata as yours, and that would build a lot of resilience. And finally, I want to end with a poem which you all would have heard and which inspires me till today. And it was written by Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, where the mind is without fear, and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depths of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee, into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. Thank you again for having me you in this very important occasion, and I hope you have a great conversation ahead. And I'm sorry I could not be with you, and I will make up for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful and thought-provoking address.
Next, we would like to invite Mr. Jayendra Jayashankar, entrepreneur and business growth coach. Mr. Jayendra has been passionate about creating a positive impact throughout his life. He is an award-winning entrepreneur, an inspiring speaker, and a published author. His work has taken him across the globe with business subsidiaries in 5 countries and clients more than 15 nations, in addition to numerous international speaking engagements. Driven by a powerful mission, Mr. Jayendra aims to positive impact on 1 million entrepreneurs, business leaders, and professionals through talks, books, and digital courses. We are indeed honored to have you with us, sir. Over to you.
So very warm morning to all the bright young minds of CS Academy and other schools over here, to the parents and teachers who are helping these bright minds become brighter, and thank you to Vikram for inviting me over here today, and greetings to Sara also here, and Mr. Amit, Mr. Shadowaz, and Ms. Kavita. Nice meeting you all. So when Vikram said, can you come and share some light on skills and attitudes for an AI-driven future, it was very interesting because I am in that future, because there are 2 technology companies, and that's what I wanted to just mention here. More than the introduction, I wanted to give you context. So these 2 technology companies, while there are 2 in number, they are actually 10. The reason is, to survive in the last 23 years, the first company had to be reinvented at least 4 times over, otherwise we would have died. Right? So that is the kind of pace and change in a world that I have worked in and grew up in my professional career as a founder entrepreneur, and as a mentor and teacher to my staff. And today I'm trying also to be a father in training to my 2 daughters. So that is the context in which I am speaking. I'm not an educator, but I'm in the intersection of technology and education. Right? So one of the things I've tried to do as an educator, or to want to be educator, is to write a book encompassing my 25 years of using technology to help customers become more successful, and the book is called Decode. And the book is all about getting from clutter to clarity using technology for non-technical people. Okay? So I've taken some insights in this journey of 25 years and in writing the book to share with you today on the skills and attitudes that will help you in an AI-driven world. First, I think it's very important to acknowledge that the world that our students, our sons and daughters are getting into is very different from the world we grew up in. When I grew up, information was scarce. Access to information even more difficult. The first time I connected to the internet, it was in STD. That is long distance to Chennai, and the modem will make a sound for 2 minutes, and then I get access to internet. And that's the world I grew up in. Today, my daughter doesn't understand that there is something called internet. She just switches on the device and the internet is there. Right? Like Vikram said, the gap between digital world and physical world is graying. Right? So what does it mean for us? Technology cycles are shrinking. In my 23 years, I had to reinvent the company 4 times. Now in 3 years, ChatGPT is thrown code red. ChatGPT is supposed to be number 1 until a week back, and Google had lost the race. And then suddenly, Google is back in the game, and Sam Altman, the founder of ChatGPT, said it's the code red. Everybody stay as long as you can, and we need to get back at Google. It's only 3 years when suddenly, when no one has heard about ChatGPT, it went to like 100 million users, and now they are at code red. Right? So technology cycles are shrinking. Careers are changing faster than our textbooks can support, which also means that we need to be giving students, as parents, as teachers, as schools, a brand new playbook to be equipped with. And that, I think, is an amazing way that this Educonclave can serve, right? In terms of bringing the crossroads between students, educators, parents, thought leaders together. So again, here the clarity is the superpower in the midst of chaos. So one story is very popular, and you can YouTube Google this as well. There was a competition between different age groups, and they wanted to see who can win. So we had engineers who are in IT companies, and we had students, and we also had youngsters. And the goal was to build an app, right? It was like a hackathon. And in this hackathon, the surprising winner was a 14-year-old student who built the objective of the app in 2 hours, compared to engineers from, say, corporate companies who said, no, it will take 2 to 3 days. The reason being that today it is not about your qualification. You know, the engineer's claim to fame was, I have a BE degree, I have 10 years of experience in corporate. Whereas the student's claim to fame was, I'm going to learn fast, I'm going to keep trying, I'm going to keep experimenting. And qualification alone is no longer important. Like in my company, we have 200 engineers, and for the last 10 plus years, we have not looked at their qualification. It is important, but we don't look at that as the only criteria for hiring. We look at their ability to handle real-time scenarios, right? So how fast can you learn? How can you adapt faster, change faster? And how can you use the tools faster? So coming to AI, which was a bit of today's focus, technology and AI, what can it do, what can it not do? Definitely it can automate, it can calculate, it can summarize, but what it can't do very well, even today, the things that humans are good at. And we are, as the previous speaker said, we may be losing the tech, so we need to get back there. How do we care, empathize, and how do we think? You know, simple things like to be happy is becoming a problem. So this goes back to our ability to care and empathize. So technology is mainly an amplifier of the human quality, of the human clarity. So if you are very clear, you can use technology to amplify. If you are very confused, technology is going to be a problem for you. It will lead to mental problems or mental wellness issues, right? So the center of your clarity becomes everything else after that. The clarity could be what you want to become, clarity could be what you want to pursue, clarity can be your spiritual goal or your purpose in life. Doesn't matter, it all comes down to clarity, right? So I wanted to also give you a little bit of takeaways rather than just thoughts and comments. So I said, I looked at the curriculum or looked at the white paper that Vikram had shared, and attitude, skills, and what does it mean to be at the crossroads of AI and education, including performance, right? He talked about performance in academics, business, money, family, and spirituality. It's like a big canvas he's painted. Okay, so some things I have resonated with the white paper that was shared from CS, and I kind of reused it but brought my interpretation to that. So I want to talk about 5 attitudes. I want to talk about 3 skills that I think is super critical, and I thought about 1 system that you can build either as a student or as a parent or as an educator. So that's why 5, 3, 1, right? So the first is 5 attitudes, then we go to 3 skills that I thought is very important, and some of the skills are repeated from Vikram to understood. But communication is tell the same thing 3 times to 3 people, then only you get conveyed. So please take it in that spirit, right? So first is the 5 attitudes, right? So curiosity, I think number 1. I would use a Japanese word called social. Social means a beginner's mindset. Social means that you stay like you are coming to school for the first day, you're going to college for the first day. Even if you're the topper for the last 5 exams in a row, even if you're an expert and a PhD in your subject, you still retain your social mindset. There is a very interesting story of a student in the US who almost built a nuclear fission bomb only using YouTube. Okay, he just went to YouTube and he was so curious, and that he got all the parts just except the plutonium, you know, the material. Except for that, he got everything done. And when they interviewed him and said, "How did you do this? Who taught you? What were the tools you used? You know, what is the amazing mental framework you used?" He said, "Nothing. I was just curious. I was just curious to move forward, next step. I didn't have any other agenda." So build and explore. For that, you need curiosity. Second is, like I shared with you, the ability to adapt. As a founder, I had to reinvent the company 4 or 5 times. And as students today, I think the way the things are changing, our ability to adapt will differentiate how and what tools we use daily, because the tools will keep changing. Our ability to use the tools will matter. Resilience is something that the previous speaker also spoke about, being able to bounce back from failures and being able to be encouraged to do that. You know, I think we need a safe ecosystem from home first, from the society, from the school, where resilience is encouraged and it's not frowned upon if you make a mistake or if you go wrong or if we fail. Ethical judgment, because today doing right is more important than doing best, because the rest of the things can work itself out. But if you are not ethical, then it has a pattern of coming back into our life with bigger impacts later. So the more ethical we are in our foundational phases during school, during college, it kind of plays off. For example, when I started Angular Technologies, we were doing web services, web hosting, and I need to pay for the servers in the US in US dollars. So I was just out of college, 24 years back, and obviously I didn't have a credit card, so I asked my father, I want a credit card to pay in US dollars. The $100, $150, very less of it. He said, no problem, I'll give you the money, but not through credit card. You please go to the RBI, the Reserve Bank of India in Chennai, and you figure out the process to do this. I was like really mad, young entrepreneur, founder, father is old manufacturing, mechanical engineer, doesn't understand this technology. But since I didn't have the money, I listened to him. Went to the RBI, they made me sit for half a day, filled me some forms called the A2 form, and told me to go to the bank. And through the bank, we transferred $150 instead of using the credit card. We did this for every single transaction. Every month, I have to do at least 4 transactions. And okay, we didn't have to go to the RBI, I went to the bank directly. I was very mad. This is inefficient. At the end of that year, the Indian government introduces a law called FEMA, right, which is the Foreign Exchange Monetary Act, which means that all my other competitors who were paying through credit card got into trouble. Because there was no paperwork, there was no real procedure in which they transmitted money outside of India. It's not as easy as today. So, since unknowingly I was ethical, I could sleep at night. There was no notices, there was no summons, there was no penalty. And we used that as a marketing to the rest of our customers saying, hey, this is the way we work. Governance, dependability and ethics is something that our company will stand for. And we quoted this example. I quote this example today when I am sitting in front of a billion-dollar Golgappa CIO, and it still lands a punch because one, it's the truth, and two, because it's ethics, right? So if we can give the foundation of ethics to our students up front, I think it will go a long way. Then the growth mindset is all about, do you know this skill set? Do you know how to solve this problem? Do you know how to use the AI tool? Not yet, rather than saying no. Rather than saying I'm an expert in this, I don't want to become an expert in this. So this not yet thinking, I can get there, I'm not yet there. That I think is going to be a big foundational stone for growth in the future. So the students who succeed, I feel, based on my limited experience with my staff, working with 14 countries, working with customers, I think the people are going to succeed is not because they know more, but it is because they behave differently. Their mindset is different. The knowing part comes automatically to them. It's not a problem. But it's a mindset that has made a huge difference. So this is the 5 attitudes I want to talk about. So now going to the 3 skills, starting with critical thinking. I think this is a skill that is also very important, and which is like a subject on this in school, if it's possible. Because it's so important that better thinking always is going to beat any tool. Being able to simplify, being able to prioritize, being able to make smart decisions in constraints. As a founder of a company, as a leader of a department, and as a HOD, all of us are taking decisions today. More than physical work, our work is mental in nature, which means what? Our ability to take decisions against 2 opposing odds. Usually it's not one good choice versus one bad choice today. It is usually between 2 good choices. Which one would you pick, right? Between 2 risky decisions, which is better to go for? In those kind of thought processes, if your muscle for critical thinking has been built over smaller items, or smaller risks, or smaller scenarios, then you're getting better and better into it. And ultimately you might call it, I have very good gut feeling, I have very good intuition. But actually it's critical thinking at work. The biggest example would be to separate signal from noise. They say Elon Musk, the ratio of his noise to signal is like 95%. And most of us are working at maybe 50%. I don't know what the ratio is, but I'm just trying to highlight to you, if you can self-analyze, self-realize, and introspect, what is my signal to noise ratio? In 8 hours in a day, I'm doing so many things. How much of it is noise I'm doing, but am I being productive? I am busy, but I am making progress. How much of it is noise and how much of it is actually signal? So that's the signal to noise ratio. The other part is communication. For example, if you ask me, I'm an engineer, I'm a mechanical engineer, I'm running two technology companies, I think like an engineer. But I think the biggest success has come in most cases not because of our engineering expertise or because of our products expertise. It's because we could communicate what problem we are solving for the customer, right? Even before showing a proper demo. And in the cases I have shown an amazing demo, you not on the order also because we didn't communicate, right? So communication is super important because I feel from our experience, not understanding requirements or the pain points is the number one reason for failure. If you ask most parents in this room, they will say the number one issue for relationships is communication. And the number one issue why relationships are good is also communication, right? Everything else comes later. Love, affection, XYZ comes later. Its basics is communication. We are also entering a purpose-driven era. Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they don't appeal to incentives. In my company, it's not working. The hiring that we used to do 20 years back, if you go with the same compensation model today, it's not working. But if we can tell them stories about how they can come and join and make a difference to our customers' lives, it's working, right? We are coming to a purpose-driven era. And in a purpose-driven era, the why matters. The why of the school, the why of the education, the why of the company matters. How will you communicate this why? Through stories, through communication, right? So it comes back to your ability to convey things. Your ability to express clearly is going to become more important than the ability to complete tasks because tasks are going to be automated. There are going to be tools to do these tasks. So that's the second skill. The third skill is problem solving. I'm a big fan and a fanatic of problem solving. Like for example, morning we were in the car. My daughter decided to join me today. She wanted to come and see what the alumni is talking about. She's from CS Academy, Coimbatore. Yesterday night, my wife had a meltdown. Said, "Both the kids, you're always fighting. There's no peace at home. Go to sleep." Right? So today morning, I told her, her name is Niharika. Niharika, she had to do problem solving. And she's like, Dad has started again. What do you want to do now? He said, "Can you think about why the fighting happens at home between you and Sagarika, and can you write it down and let me know?" She was hesitant to believe, but lucky to only be in the car, so she did it. So she used paper and pen. She wanted to use iPad. I said no. She used paper and pen and said, why this happened? Then why of that? Why of that? Why of that? It's small. It may not be right. It may not give the fight is not going to stop tomorrow between the two sisters. But there is this spark now for problem solving. So from having fear of a meltdown again from the mother, now suddenly she's like empowered to solve the problem herself, right? So in our company, any customer incident, any customer issue that comes gets logged automatically, and every single customer issue or escalation goes through a root cause method, as YY analysis. And making engineers, especially software engineers, do this is almost next to impossible. They are saying, please tell me what is the code to write, I'll write it for you. Right? Please tell me what is the problem to fix, I will fix the source code for you. I don't want to do root cause analysis. So it's almost a cultural phenomenon that I think we need to attack. The ability to love problems, the ability to understand that all innovation starts with problems, and that the fact that we should solve for the problems and not the idea. Most of us are fascinated. I have this great idea, I want to build something. I have this amazing innovation, I want to pursue it. Rather than that, I would go the opposite and say, what is the problem you're solving, and do you love the problem you're solving, and do you love the user for whom you're solving this problem. So almost a reverse direction. With the right mindset and the tools, every problem can become an opportunity, and that brings me to the last part, which is the system. Right? And this is a system I just modified from my book, and I'm going to give you another system which is generic. Okay, the system for thinking system I would call. So we saw 5 attitudes and 3 skills, and ultimately we come to a thinking system, and I call the system as decode. Define clearly what problem are you solving for. Empathize deeply. Who are you solving it for? Start small. Like for example, Educonclave version 2. Right? Version 3 I know we are going to take it bigger. And in version 2 itself, from last time to this time, he explained to me the format changes, there's an AI competition going on, there's an alumni panel. I'm sure that these were not there in version 1. So version 2 is getting better. Right? You start small and you create more. Then observe reality. Test, do not assume. Develop technology and use technology when needed, not for the sake of it. And execute consistently because progress is always better than perfection. Half done is better than theory, right? This is one way of thinking. There are different ways of thinking, right? So you need a thinking system. So don't think of the startup method, not applicable for me. This is the life method. I'll explain further. Okay? The future is for those who are getting future ready, which means that we don't have to worry about AI replacing humans. We only have to worry about are we equipping ourselves, because if we don't equip ourselves, others who are better equipped will replace us. As an example, for our digital team, we had 3 content developers before ChatGPT. I told all of them, please use ChatGPT, otherwise you become irrelevant. I think one was MA Honors in Literature, amazing lady, but they refused to use ChatGPT. Now I have a fractional content developer doing 3 times the output because of using technology. Right? They just got more AI. So it's not about the fact that we use smart tools, are we smart humans? So a message to students, we don't need to be a genius. I think we need to be curious, we need to be consistent, we need to be courageous. If we do these 3 things, then the compounding will happen. The message to the parents, I think there is a lot of pressure to win. I think we can shift that pressure into more of curiosity, into more of experimentation, and creating an ecosystem where our students can thrive. And the reason I say this is, what we think, at least what I thought, I can get admission to CS Academy and my work is done. I meet Sitara and then admit my 2 daughters and get done. But actually reality is more complex. CS Academy is a great school, but then the student ecosystem is more challenging. So the reality, how do we deal with this reality? Looking at this is what I said, like, can we build something, a tool that each student, each teacher, each parent can think about, okay? I'm calling this a learning culture flywheel, right? Culture flywheel for education already exists in good schools like CS, it's already there. But I'm asking the parents to take a look at this one. Okay? For example, what's a flywheel? This is a flywheel, right? What does the flywheel have? The flywheel has weight, and you put force on the flywheel and it starts spinning. It spins after the force is higher than the friction, right? So it's stationary, there is weight, you put enough force, and slowly it starts spinning, and you put more force and start building momentum. So this is what the flywheel's concept is. Now, there is a business flywheel also, right? Example, let's take Amazon. What is Amazon's business flywheel? Amazon gives, let's take only books, okay? Books at low cost. Huge number of books. And hence what happens? Customers come to visit it. And customers buy. And Amazon has more money. What does Amazon do? It builds more warehouses, it goes to more countries, and gives more options for books. And from books it goes to grocery items, from grocery items to batteries to electronics. So the flywheel is the same, it just keeps on doing things better and better. Similarly, can we build, co-create, parents, with your ward, with your school, a learning culture flywheel for whatever that you want to aspire to achieve. The student wants to aspire to become a great athlete, then the learning flywheel has to look different. If the student wants to become an entrepreneur, the learning flywheel will be slightly different. If the student wants to become an amazing HOD in a multinational company, the learning flywheel is slightly different, right? So you have attitudes, you have skills, you have the amazing school ecosystem. You also, as a parent, need to provide for experience and experimentation. And this flywheel will build momentum over time. And that's the last system I want to leave you with. 5 attitudes, 3 skills, and 1 system. And that's what I want to share with all of you today. Thank you for the time, and thank you for patiently listening.
Thank you, sir, for the thought-provoking session. The 531 model is a great takeaway for students, parents, and teachers alike.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the felicitation ceremony. We invite you to join us in honoring and appreciating our esteemed guests.
May I now invite Dr. Vikram Ramakrishnan, Director, CS Academy, to felicitate our guests. First, we have Mr. Jayanka Jayachandran, Thank you once again for inspiring talks.
Up next, we have the honor of felicitating Mr. Aslam Sharif, co-founder and chief growth officer of SmartLine, one of the most innovative writing startups in the edtech sector. With over 2 decades of rich experience in software consulting and technology services, Mr. Aslam has played a pivotal role in driving SmartLine's growth across both domestic and global markets. We are delighted to recognize and honor his contributions.
We now invite Ms. Kritik GS, practicing clinical psychologist, onto the stage. Ms. Kritik is dedicated to promoting emotional well-being through her counseling practice. She works closely with students, delivers awareness sessions, conducts parenting workshops, and provides meaningful guidance that supports individuals in navigating life challenges with clarity and confidence. We are honored to recognize her valuable contributions.
We now invite our distinguished alumni panel to join us on stage as a felicitation. We invite Dr. Sitara Vikram, Executive Director of East Academy, to do the honors. First, we have Ms. Valli Vikram, a management student at the London School of Economics with experience in finance, consulting, and strategy through roles at the Kent, PwC, and Ulster Capital. With strong leadership experience at East Academy and LSE, she brings a global perspective on academic growth and early career development. A warm welcome to you, Ms. Valli Vikram.
We also have the gracious presence of Mr. Prem Vishwanathan, a technology professional at Zoho Corporation, branch of experience in software development and cybersecurity. Skilled in Java, SQL, C++, technical hacking, and web security, he offers practical insights into building technical expertise and navigating early career pathways in the software industry.
We have the honorable presence of Ms. Rutika Srinivasan, a corporate lawyer at Madras High Court specializing in private equity, venture capital, and startup transactions, advising companies from pre-seed to Series B stages.
Next, we have Mr. Mohit Ananta, an alumnus of CS Academy and founder of Mirai Space. He combines business training from Christ University and Imperial College London with real-world entrepreneurial experience.
Thank you to all our guests for gracing Educonclave with their presence.
Up next is the Eduvision talk, featuring our expert panel. This session will explore innovative perspectives on modern education. We invite the panelists and moderator to begin.
Everyone again. Let me start with Mr. Aslam, and thank you for coming again. As I said earlier, he's come all the way from Bangalore, he's driven down. I think some of the audience was not here, he missed his, well, Indigo cancelled his flights, but he still made it here by jumping on in a car and driving all the way here, so thank you for that again. So Mr. Aslam, take us through your journey of co-founding SmartTail and what SmartTail does. We are customers of SmartTail, of course, but I think for the audience it might be useful to take us through that.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Vikram, for having me here. So, I'm basically not from, I'm not an educationist or not from education background, basically. I'm from an enterprise background, selling or working on the routers and switches which are dealing with 5G network today. I've been on those journeys. So, I hardly knew one or two schools where my, before my child's admission, those are the two schools that I know in Bangalore. I don't know anything about the school. But what has helped us, we had this urge to understand what's happening really on the education front with the technology coming up. So the so-called B2C concept, right? The business model that people say going to the students directly. So a lot of tech companies who are in education started going to the students directly. So we wanted to understand, are they solving all the problems that are there between teacher, student, and education, what technology can do. So we did dive, we did look at a lot of things, including our children. We found out while we spoke to some of the school owners that were known to us, trying to understand, we understood that there is a serious problem, a serious gap, and in a particular area that is dealing with upskilling of teachers and related to it. Not every problem is solved. So we took a path where we'll take a step back. We're not going to do something very drastically new and go into the market like how other people are going. Rather, we will try to solve the problem towards the digital transformation and the technology spectrum. Gradually, the country has to move towards it. Nobody liked the idea, frankly, what we are doing. And everyone rejected the idea that we are doing. And whoever spoke to us said, this is not going to work. And we said, it's okay. Either we succeed or it will be a philanthropist project, but let's do and live our dream, And then that's when we started. But COVID, when it happened in 2020, the knowledge of digital transformation and the digital tools availability reached masses in a large. Now that made a significant change. The schools and the people that started rejecting the idea, they started saying, hey, we want to hear your story. It might be relevant now. We are moving fast ahead. And that's where we became very relevant. And then the whole journey to the different, and whatever we are today is through the schools that we are going through. So that's basically.
And for the audience, what was that problem you solved?
I purposely did not tell them basically. So we are trying to solve the handwritten assessments that are descriptive in nature. Across India, nobody does descriptive handwritten responses, grading and finding analytics. We did not know what kind of analytics it is going to provide when we began. But as we went further, with the help of teachers, with the help of students, we were able to identify different forms of data interpretation, data that is available today, which the educators can use, parents can use to really improve, go back and improve and work on the areas that we discussed today morning, the 531 and all the models that the thinking aspect of critical thinking and all these approaches that we want to bring, all of that is today we are seeing.
Yeah, thank you. So I ran a tech company myself and I'm very skeptical of technology, so that is even more skeptical. But when SmartTale came to us, the essential premise was the problem, if I may rephrase, and there are teachers here, one of the most hated jobs of a teacher is correcting answer papers. Imagine students, you are writing one paper, your teacher has to read how many of the same answers and correct it. And their system essentially reads, the computer AI reads the papers and autocorrects and autogrades it and also marks all the mistakes that are being made. So I thought that was a tremendous problem to solve, and I think that's the reason we piloted SmartTale and then we did. So thank you for that. We spoke about, and I think Jayanta alluded to this, about some of the skills that may be augmented, and in that process, you could end up replacing people. Jayanta gave an example of, I think, content developer. He had 3, now he has half. What are the other fields that you're looking at from your, because you're dealing with other companies as well, not just tech companies, because you're also a growth coach for other corporates. what do you think are other jobs and roles out there which could be augmented and therefore, if I may put it, be at risk?
At a bigger perspective, I think to answer the question, let's go back to how it was before we used MS Office and how it is today. So everybody uses MS Office. There's no discussion about is it good to use or bad to use. MS Office helps us to become more efficient. Excel, PowerPoint, Word. Right? So to an extent, AI will be in every sphere of what we're doing. Like now it's there through Smart Day with assessments of handwritten papers. Tomorrow is going to come for auditors who are now doing this last minute mundane work of filings to start getting automated so that they can focus more on giving proper advisory services to the customers rather than doing compliance work. So any work that is more mundane, routine, or basically brute force in nature, I think is at risk in terms of getting automated. But that means that those people doing that have an opportunity as well. So they have the domain knowledge, they might have been doing it for 5 years, 10 years. Now can they get better in feeling out a career path, which will shift them to bigger in the ladder, higher up in the food chain. Like the content person can become a marketing communicator, an influencer, a thinker, rather than content. Right? So if they don't do that, then they get replaced.
Mr. Hassan, you want to add anything to that?
So there are going to be a lot of new jobs and opportunities that is opening up. So one thing that we have seen is since we began the AIML, some of the roles that we are looking for today is not there available in the market itself, or nobody has worked on this role. Let's take the teacher's role itself. We want a blend of a teacher and a IT person who is knowledgeable, who can work on a particular segment and an area of labeling and related things. That is not available in that skill set. Now, there is a huge gap. We see a lot, and what I'm saying is not just relevant to education field. It is common with different areas. So I have my business team who are not from education at all, background at all. So they come from varied background, but their core is selling. We take the selling and we are trying to build an AI wrapper on top of it. So transformation is there for everybody and every role. And there is manufacturing, there is healthcare, there is fintech, there is plenty of things that's happening in the country right now. And deep techs are growing. So the new roles are also growing. We need to have probably what you mentioned today morning, think. We need to think on what roles is going to come and then probably upskill yourself towards getting to those roles.
And if some of you remember the talk by Dr. Arun Palisamy, KMC chairman, he was one of the things he said was radiology, for example, as a profession, is getting amplified. So one radiologist can deal with work that maybe 4 or 5 did in the past. And even if you look at the choices of post-graduation that doctors are making, radiology used to be on top. But last year, it dropped tremendously down. So things are rapidly changing. What we are speaking here is actually happening in the market. Also, I think law is another profession where I think lots of junior lawyers do a fair amount of research. Rubika's here, you can talk more about it later. But my understanding is that a fair amount of research that junior lawyers used to do can also be augmented by what AI does. And of course, there are hundreds of roles like that. So while we have talked about the benefits of AI and you have to use it, you have to become proficient at it, there are also downsides to it, right? So if I can put a word to it, or 2 words, I'm thinking of this word called cognitive decline, which is your brain power starts reducing because you are starting to use AI more and more. And the other day, slightly different example, I was reversing a car in Pondicherry and I was looking at the back and there was a 2-wheeler park, nobody was on the 2-wheeler. And I went and back to the vehicle even though I was looking at it because I was expecting the car to make a beep noise. Because I was used to driving a car which makes that noise, and this particular car was a new car and it didn't have the system. So I just realized that, in a way, that was cognitive decline for me. So from that perspective, how you are doing stupider because of all of you guys creating these amazing systems?
I think it's a very, very valid concern, both from business professionals and also, of course, from young children who are growing up. A funny example, not yours was not funny, but mine is funny. So the last time my HR got a mail from an employee, and I think he was trying to resign. I'm saying think because we didn't know what the mail said. He's used ChatGPT to send the mail, and it was so confusing. The HR actually called him and said, "Are you wanting to stay? Are you wanting to resign?" Right? Because he used ChatGPT and he said, make it diplomatic, make it like appeal to their, whatever, cut the notice period, convince them. By the time HR email, you know what he was trying to communicate, right? So the key here is we have to use technology where it's required. Otherwise, we will see serious cognitive decline. I'm seeing this, for example, with some of our test engineers, right? People who test software, because there are tools now to automate testing, which is a good thing. They are using that. But then earlier they used to have the domain knowledge of the industry they're testing for. For example, they're testing for FMCG or vendor management or procurement practices. They will know what they're testing for. That deep domain knowledge is going away because they are relying on automated tools now. And those tools are, the downside of the tools is that the chance of learning or osmosis of learning that happens, sometimes without even planned learning, the learning just happens, is going away.
So, I will touch on two important points, very important. So, recently, 2 days back, there was a new article from IIIT Delhi. They are going to allow students to use ChatGPT for their answers. You can now use ChatGPT to produce your answers. Fine. You have to also share your prompts. What made you? How did you derive this? Using this, you have to disclose your prompts and you have to share your prompts in an ethical manner. Now that's very important that they are taking that step. It's an article available in Times of India. You can just go through and read. It's a test kind of model. They want to see what is your creativity behind creating the content answer that you wanted. So now it's the other way around. Okay, so people are going to use it. So that's one point. Second is the organization. We are growing at a very rapid pace in every industry. And if you wait for government to give you policy, framework, that's not going to happen. They don't have time to give all of that. By the time they come up with the policy and framework, we are half the way implemented the solution and we move. So it is always recommended we tell for your organization what is needed, you come up with your own policy framework. So policy framework should bring in your ethical, the way you use, the way you build applications, all of that guidelines should be brought in. Bring stakeholders like the students and parents into the policy. We are telling government today that bring startups like us into the policy discussion so that we can tell you. Similarly, the policies at school level for AI usage have to be there. And you give it to a vendor like us by telling here is our AI policy and what all it means. So that is the structure that we can still bring and ensure that the cognitive levels are still, the essence is still great.
I can resonate with that because when we introduced smart take, one of the concerns some of the teachers were saying was, if this system corrects the papers and the teacher doesn't look at that, how does the teacher know a particular student is weak in a certain area? You lose that. So that is probably what it is, like a policy we probably need to have, just to make sure that we fill that gap. Moving on to another thing that we touched on, Jendra, was you said qualifications may not be as important as they used to be. And there is something else. In your organizations, how do you assess people entry level, and then also what do you look at to promote them?
At the entry level, we typically look for their learning speed, their ability to learn fast, and their ability to adapt to different roles. Because roles are changing so fast. We can't say, for example, the person who was doing, let's say, pure coding is no longer important today. It's like NBA cricketing. Pure bowlers, pure batsmen are becoming less important compared to all-rounders. So unless they are able to adapt and learn fast at the entry level, then it becomes a problem. He may have done enough certifications, but we're not even looking at them. Because certifications is expiring or outdated in 6 months from now. So learning and adaptability is the entry level. At the senior level, we are looking for their ability to handle people. Not necessarily team management, also self-regulation. Sometimes they don't know what we're doing because under work pressure. And that has a ripple effect on the brand of the company itself. Because today it's social media, right? So if they are unhappy with their team manager, they go and write it in Facebook and Instagram. That's boomeranging on the company, right? So their ability to handle people, conversations, their ability to give feedback, their ability to take criticism, because the Gen Z, Gen Alpha wants to talk openly. They want to discuss conflicts. They no longer going to say, okay, I will do it. They'll say, why can I should do it? So that ability I'm finding is very hard to train or find in people. Some of them are naturally born like that. Others need to go through rigorous training. And AI or tools will not help them at all. Because they need to build that skill there.
So I've been hiring for last 20 years. So one thing that I have constantly noticed is that whenever I go to hiring, right, since last 20 years I follow only one thing. I take two of my core people who will not talk too much, and they will just evaluate the logic of the student at engineering level. They will say, write this program in whichever language that you write, we want to see the logic. If the person is able to do a thinking, the attitude towards something, think and write. It's something even today, whatever you mentioned, is valid. So the students who are here, who are going to pass out tomorrow, going to join college, still the ability to think and reproduce the logic for solving a problem is very, very relevant. It doesn't matter whether you write in Python or different thing, or you are not solving a computer related problem. It could be something else. But the logic, how you are solving, is very important. Today, the people who are, it's a very, very serious point, right? The people who are in 7-2, that's what he didn't tell it the way it has to go. The point is, what I'm trying to say is, 7 to 10 year band of people that are there in the country who are the age group of 35, 40, if they are not in AI or related fields, companies like us don't even hire them. They are not useful for us. Primarily because you have to hire them and you have to pay them to the market level, and then you have to train them, ask them to learn something, unlearn and learn. It's very, very difficult. The Gen Z kids, as you rightly mentioned, are quick, are fast. You can get them, and then within like few weeks they will be up and running. Yes, you do need a balancing team where there are seniors needed to guide them. That is needed, but you don't get that in the seniors that are already there. So the people who are there in that band are already struggling. They want to come out. They want to quickly upskill, which they didn't do. They were all complacent in their jobs. They were happy doing it, good salary, everything was fine. But the problem is, today the shift that's happening, they are not able to handle. So I get a lot of requests from senior members saying that I don't want salary, I want to trying to do something new, so that I can transform myself next 6 months. So that's the market situation.
Thank you. We have our alumnus trained here who didn't go to university. After college, after CSC, went straight to work to Zoho. And that was a unique decision. I think it still is. So my question to you is, and on behalf of the students here, to get into an organization like yours or tech roles or AI roles, etc., right? Is it even worth going to university, or should they all just go straight to work?
I think the parents won't like my answer. So, if you take Germany as an education system, Germany produces some of the best engineers, the best problem solvers, I would say. So they have a mechanism after your 12th grade or equal to 12th grade, you actually do a diploma, right? And you do a diploma which is very hands-on, which is very like workshop oriented, which is very practical. Only then you choose your undergrad, right? So the premise here is like how your alumni chose Zoho. The premise here is you get your hands dirty, you figure out things, you experiment, and you figure out what is of interest before you actually decide to specialize for 4 years or 3 years in an education. So if that, in some countries they call it a gap year. I mean, they do stuff which you may frown upon, but the gap year enables the students to discover themselves, discover their purpose a little bit more. So a combination of these models may be helpful. If that can be done, like for example in most colleges that we are hiring from today, they give us almost the entire last semester to decide how to train the students on the curriculum we want, the technologies we want, the skills we want. So by the time they leave college and join our company, they are largely onboarded, right? So similarly, I think if there is a provision before they actually go to college, some amount of exposure, that will be great. So it's like a hybrid answer.
So students, you can all apply to the interest company directly from if you want to. Sir, what about you?
So pretty interesting question, Vikram. So my grade 11 son says to me that, hey, why don't you pay me and come and work for you? I said, no, that cannot happen. Because I took him for a conference where he presented 2 days in the conference I left him. So he's very cool. So it's a very important question that we all need to think. Rightly mentioned Vijay. So we need a balance there. So we cannot have them directly to the job without going through the basic standard building blocks that is needed. However, there should be a way in which we should engage them in the day that there is curiosity to build something. So classic example I'll give you. I was in GITEX last year. If you have known GITEX, one of the top world's top summit that happens in Dubai every year. Last year in GITEX, we didn't have a stall in the enterprise one. We had it in an area called Youthex. Youthex is a place where it's all students. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. These are the students. So SmartAid had a stall and all the people that were around were students there. So we want to understand all the students, what they were doing was they were showcasing their innovation, what product that they are building to the VCs and investors, trying to get a check. So we need to create a platform for them to do that as well as ensure that you go and finish your basic education and building blocks that you need. Today the universities are not doing it, schools are not having, they cannot overlap into universities, college segment. So there has to be some model that has to come in and we have to do that. Otherwise what is happening is the very pathetic children finish 4 years of engineering, 4th year they will come up and show you a project which the first question that I ask them is, did you do this or you bought it from somewhere? So first question I ask, because you save my time, your time, if you bought it from somewhere, then I don't need to query you on how did you build and all of that, we can talk something else. So students, some people openly say, no, I have not done anything of this. Nothing I have done it, I have somebody gave me and all your robotics, all the details, all. So systematically we need that in place.
Great, I think we are running out of time. I'll stop with 1 or 2 more questions, and audience, if you have any questions, please get them ready. After that, we'll spend about 5 minutes on a Q&A. And my question is slightly different from what we've been covering so far. Using all these tools, AI, personally, from a time and efficiency perspective, how do you manage your routine and what has enabled you to become even more efficient?
So I'm like, we're not wanting to answer, so it was putting me in the spot. So I think how I use, let's take AI as an example. There's so many tools, but let me take 2 tools. Let me talk about 2 tools. One is, I'm a big fan of David Allen's philosophy called Get Things Done. It's written pre-email era. It was written for an era there was no email. Forget about ChatGPT or whatever. So it's an amazing philosophy of getting things done. And now I found an app that has been built on that philosophy. So I'm using that app to get things done, like making sure that you don't have stuff in your head. You capture everything to a trusted system, and from the trusted system you clarify what exactly you want or you prioritize, and then you have batching and execution mode. So it's called GTD, Get Things Done. So that's one of the apps I use.
The app is called GTD.
The app is called NOSB, but the philosophy is GTD. The philosophy is important. Yes. That's for getting things done. But on the AI side, I have different channels. For example, I have one on health and weight management for me. And I keep chatting to put my blood tests there, I put my dietitian's reports there, I put my BGP there. And I keep building up almost like a digital twin of myself, where it is safe. And I don't, for example, I will not put my legal stuff there right now. I'm not yet convinced. I'm not putting my, say, financial stuff right now there. I'm still not convinced with privacy ideas. But things which I think, for example, if I go to a doctor and he is a specialist, he wants to see me for 2 minutes. Now that 2 minutes for me is not enough. I want to ask him like so many questions. I'm able to get that done with ChatGPT now. I don't know how much is accurate, but at least I get a trend line. Right? So that's how I use ChatGPT for things I want to explore. For example, travel has become amazingly easy now. I can line up on a place and say, build me a 3-day agenda. This is the profile of the people I'm traveling with all boys is different, with family and 2 kids is different. It's very different. So earlier we used to research, Google, do Excel file for agenda, and all that is gone now. So different things for different things.
So my role normally two parts of it. One is the regular thinking and strategy that has to be done the way I've been doing that. The second is because my role involves a lot of accelerator partnerships and a lot of proposals, a lot of bidding, a lot of documents, a lot of VC forms that I have to fill. These are all like too much of documentation for me, writing the same thing again and again, but each one need to be customized for the particular requirement and the question that is being asked. One document might not fit for all. So it has to be adjusted accordingly. I use an LLM where I quickly, I used to take at least writing a bidding or any proposal hardly 2 to 3 weeks I used to take. Today I will just finish it in like 4-5 hours time. But after the document is prepared, I go through it, review it completely, review and go through the document, read every line that is being produced, and then make changes to it if needed, and then I submit so that I know exactly what is gone into it, and that's how I manage.
So that you know whether you're resigning or not. Okay, sorry, then I want to answer. Audience, any questions for the panel here? If at all anyone wants to ask a question, can you do? Oh, there's a hand at the back. Can you give a mic over there? Now, I hope we are not extending too much. Are we okay for time? Another 5 minutes is okay.
Good morning, sirs. We are in a technology where we are in a space where we will not be able to say there is no more, screen is not allowed for children. But as all the panelists being responsible parents or panelists and children also, what is the balance that you strike between yes to technology and no to technology? I am a mother of a grade 7 child.
So it's a very tough question as a parent. I have what you mentioned, I have a fight with me and my wife every day on this topic. But what I tell my son is that at least I'm aware of what he does, number one. But I don't get into the game that he's playing to play. But at least I have maintained the communication is very important. Look at the first from the beginning we are talking about, and he also mentioned about communication. We try to strike a balance in the communication, right? I'm trying to ensure that I'm in talk with him constantly. So whatever my children do, they tell me that this is what it is. And we need to see how they can solve some of the problem. And then today I asked my son, what is your feedback? I don't need to do that. Some decisions I can make my own, but I do ask him, what is your thought on this? And then sometimes he gives me a better answer than what I would have done, and then I take it up. So as a parents, I think we need to ensure that the balance on communication is very important. The only way that we can solve this is through the communication. I don't see you can just take the phone away. It's not going to work. It has to be there, and I'm pretty sure all your nowadays my son's assessments and all the data and everything comes through the phone. And then if I take the phone away, then he says, "Who will finish this?" All the data is there in the phone. So I have to give away to him, and I cannot remove all the apps and give it away. So it needs a balance in the communication.
Siddhartha wants to say something. A favorite topic.
Actually, I was going to say it's better that Siddhartha away from answer. Thank you, Siddhartha.
I'm talking as a parent now. And Vikram and we both believe that you cannot expect kids to balance when they're so young. You know, we can't balance when you put a gadget in our hand. So to expect kids to know how to balance it was really ridiculous to felt. So our answer was, they will always know how to use screen time and how to develop those skills. We are not going to create habits so early in life and expect them to know how to balance. We felt it was impossible for them. So we just didn't give them any gadget till grade 11. When they want to go abroad, they have to fill applications, this, that, whatever. But anything they want to do, only from my phone. So I know exactly why they want to use the phone, for what purpose, and only under supervision. No social media at all. I don't think they were allowed on any social media till school was over. So I don't know, we felt total avoidance led to less problems, less headaches, less fights, less everything. Rather than giving and then saying balance, balance, balance. Yes, my daughter said, I'm going to throw you in an old age home with no gadgets. And so we said, that's why the house is on army, you can't learn. And there were times when we had trips and they'd say everyone has a smartphone, but we only gave a button phone. She'd lose the button phone and come thinking next time we have a smartphone, but only button phone followed her. Because we thought on the whole, these fights disappeared because they realized we were just so stubborn about this. So no fights happened. 10th, 11th, both my daughters were world toppers, and the only thing we did was no gadgets. So please, there's no violence. There's only tolerance. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am, now they have, the children have 2 gadgets at home for them. So, this is the scenario which we are living right now.
Any other questions from the audience? One more there.
Good morning. I just wanted to ask specifically to Jennifer, sir, because when we are all talking about AI and the technology to be used, you told us that you had told your daughter to write a pen and paper. Why was that?
So, see, in general, I think, this is my belief, okay? In general, I think if you write anything down, the possibility of you understanding that and making it happen increases by 40%. And I run 2 technology companies, and everything is digital. Even minutes of the meeting is digital. I personally believe if you write everything down, the chance of you understanding what you're writing, the chance of it actually happening increases by at least 40%. So that's one reason. Second reason is it allows them to spend time with themselves when they connect, neurologically, the motor movements and everything. It's a good way to journal as well, right? And journaling helps you to figure out what is going on in your head, dump it on paper, and then you're more free. So those are 2 reasons.
Thank you.
Jennifer, can I add to that?
Please, please.
So if for the students here, you all know who Sam Altman is? He's the founder of OpenAI. In fact, you can go to YouTube and say Sam Altman note-taking technique. There's so many videos of that because he's a big proponent of what Jennifer said. And he always carries a notebook with a pen. And he writes everything on a piece of paper. The founder of ChatGPT writes on a piece of paper. And that's how he thinks, exactly what you said. And now there's a new gadget which I bought from the US and even this time. It's called Remarkable. I don't know if any of you have come across it. It's like an iPad, but it only takes notes. And it's as expensive as an iPad. So I bought it and somebody was asking. But iPad also you can take notes. And you can put color on it. Here, can you put color? No. Here it's like an actual pen and paper, but it's digital. Now, why would somebody spend like me as much as an iPad? Because it does not have all the other functionality. Because it cuts away all that distraction. Maybe there are more people like me because there is a product out there which exactly does that. Next question. Any more questions?
Good morning. When there are lots of options from confusion to clarity regarding career or how to decide on that, because those days we use very small options, but now from sports to lots of options in many careers, from confusion to clarity, how to migrate that phase?
How do you, can I take this? I mean, career counseling is one of my favorite topics, and I can give you a long answer to this process. We have an entire department which handles this, but I'll give you the short version, and we all tell our children this, right? Do something that you like doing, do something that you're passionate about, do something you're interested in. But the problem for the children is that identifying what they're interested in. Right? How do they actually find out what they're interested in? And only in my opinion, there are 3 ways to do it at the age that you children are at, right? And that's reading. Reading, doing and learning is what I say. And reading is pick books that you think on a topic that you're interested in and you should read about it. If let's say some of you are saying, I want to become an engineer, and I've asked you the question, so what engineering books have you read? And if your answer is 0, that means you don't even know what engineering is. Right? Second thing is doing. Doing is, there are so many things that you can do from a profession, career perspective. Right? You can just go and, let's say, observe a person in that field. Let's say somebody earlier said they want to be an architect in one of the sessions that I was running. Now, that person can spend half a day or 2 weeks with an architect. So that's doing. And learning is, there are hundreds of online courses available now. There's Coursera, edX, Udemy, So if you're interested in any of that, go to a course. So when my daughter was making decisions, younger one, and she was confused, we put her on a course in, for example, data science, she did a course. 4 days she did, and she said, no, I don't like this. So she went through a series of reading, doing, learning, until law. She did a course on law. She went through so many lectures and she said, oh my God, law is just all text, I want math. Right? So finally she ended up understanding. So that the only way to work through that confusion is by doing these three things. There's no magic bullet, unfortunately. Maybe we have time for one more question and then we'll close. Shamanas, yeah? So one last question, Pro wants to ask. Two is it? Okay, two last.
Good morning, sir. I would ask that name of the app which you said that getting things done. It's called Nozbe. Nozbe. Nozbe.
She wants to keep a secret. It is efficiency.
No, but I would suggest don't do the app. Buy the book. One second.
Buy the book.
Buy the book. David Allen, Getting Things Done. Buy the book first. Then figure out the app later. Okay. The book is great.
Does it help us, help students?
Yeah, very much. Amazingly.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So don't use that app. Try how to build that app, the logic of that app. Okay, instead of trying to use something, think creatively. You don't have to do the entire thing, but see what it does, and if you can recreate that using your own thought process, that's it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Hi sir, I am a 7th grader and I am exploring for career options. When I like doing business, my mom says that I have to study doctor, but I don't know what to choose. My mom says if I study doctor, I'll get more income, but I really like business. So, what should I go upon?
If you like business, then you should. I think now it's late, but you should have put a stall at CS Academy Carnival today. I've been experimenting.
I have to answer this one.
Tara has thoughts on this.
I don't know if you know the correspondent, Dr. Ella Ramakrishnan was an NAT surgeon, quit medicine. Both of us went to Madras Medical College, very good students. And he's a surgeon, I'm a psychiatrist, we quit medicine. We're all entrepreneurs. So CS Academy loves entrepreneurship and business. Both my kids are doing economics and math, so we're a little biased in the school towards entrepreneurship.
Any other thoughts? But I don't think it's a personal decision is what I would say, right? So as I said earlier, I think reading, learning, doing, as you grow up, you're in grade 7, you keep all options open, you explore all the options. Go to a hospital after, let's say, a little grade 9, grade 10, and you will know whether you like that or not. And then you can make a decision. There's no hurry right now. So I think we're running out of time, so we'll stop with the questions. Thank you all for attending this. I'll stop with just one thought here. I think if you distill everything that we were hearing today, and all the speakers, I think there were some amazing thoughts, lots of learning. I think two things came out to me. One is adaptability and the other one is the ability to learn. Jayendra gave the example, Sir gave an example, Aslan Sir also, about how their organizations have changed and how many times they've changed. So that's adaptability, and adaptability, ability to learn underpins adaptability. And I leave you with this little vignette from this chap called Joshua Waitzkin. I don't know if any of you have heard of Joshua Waitzkin. So Joshua Waitzkin has a movie, I think it's on Netflix or not Amazon. It's called Finding Bobby Fischer. It's an old movie about the chess champ. It's called Finding Bobby Fischer. And Joshua Waitzkin was a US chess champion when he was 9 years old. He was a prodigy. I think when he was 12 years old, he drew a match with Gary Kasparov. And then he went on to become, of course, a US champion. Right, when he was in his youth. And then he goes, oh my God, this guy is amazing. And Joshua Waitzkin's mindset was, I can learn anything. And people said, well, I know you're a chess champion, but come on, you can't learn anything. So he chose something which was so far away from chess to learn, and he went into this hand boxing, Tai Chi hand boxing or something, if I remember correctly, which is very physical. And he became a world champion in that. And he taught himself to become a world champion in that. Then he left that and said, okay, give us okay, and this, that. Then he said, okay, I will learn Jiu-Jitsu. And he became a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu. And he runs a foundation called, I think anything can be learned or something like that. And what I wanted to leave you with was, I think if you have that mindset, which I think a lot of our speakers talked about, where you have the willingness to learn, and what is the Japanese name you said, Jayendra? Soshin, which is
beginner's mindset.
The beginner's mindset, and the ability to learn and the ability to put in the work. I think anything is possible. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you all for joining. Mahendra and Mr. Thank you.
I was standing all the time, I noticed one more leader who's writing on pen and paper.
Thank you, sirs, for the thoughtful discussion. We're extremely grateful to our event partners. Hi-Fi Toys, RTP Printers, Good Life Tours and Travels, Sai Foods, Smart Trade, HD Clothing, and SRM Sweets and Cakes.
We will now break for 10 minutes. Parents are kindly requested to visit the CS Hall at 11:10. May I request all students to proceed to the multi-purpose hall for session 2, the AIMU, the Winning Duo, after a break at 11:10. You will have 5 minutes for refreshments and 5 minutes for the transfer from CS Hall to the multi-purpose hall.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's a small change in the agenda. Kindly reassemble in CS Hall after the break. I repeat, all of you, please reassemble in the CS Hall after the break. Thank you.
Thank you.